Hello everyone and welcome to another Transformers third-party review. Thanks to the team over at Robot Kingdom. In today's video we're taking a look at the two latest offerings from Planet X. Now these were slightly delayed. They were meant to be released, I believe, a few weeks back, but there was a little bit of tweaking that went into the figures, and we finally have both our Fall of Cybertron Ratchet and our Fall of Cybertron Ironhide in hand, aka PX20 VEJOVIS and PX21 Mars. Quick look at the back of the box. We have Ironhide and Ratchet both in their bot and vehicle modes. Here they are out of their plastic prisons. Really nice, scrumptious looking figures. Ironhide's weapons come pre-made. We get his axe there. Some nice Cybertronian detailing, and we get a rifle as well. First person in the comment section to name all of these weapons, or their correct names, will get their comment pinned, because I can never remember all of the actual guns' names. It's been a while since I played for the Cybertron. It's actually kind of inspired me to go out and play it again. But Ratchet's weapons come in several parts. We have to kind of build them ourselves. We get everything needed though. We even get the screws. So let's start off. Place this piece on the back. That's going to slide down. This piece places over the front. See, these slide over like so. Place these red energon sections on both sides. And then the last one goes on like this, and then there is a groove just on the underside. You take one of these screws that's included in the set, and then once that's in, we can screw these three sections together. That's going to hold everything in nice and tightly, and then we can just bring in our gun, and that should just line up like so, and there we have a really nice big gun for Ratchet. And here we have them all kitted up with their weapons. Now these figures aren't perfect. There's some things I would maybe change. It's just the articulation around the shoulders that bugs me more than anything else there. But we had the same sort of thing with their Prime as well, and I think these two are probably a little bit too big to be sharing this rotating display stand, because they seem to be fighting for attention at the moment. But I absolutely adore the weaponry that comes with Ratchet, and there's subtle differences in the two, enough to make them two very distinct figures. Ironhide was one of my favourites here in the game. Ratchet not so much, but hey, it's nice to get a couple more to add to our Fall of Cybertron lineup. Planet X are renowned for doing an amazing job with these figures, much the same as MMC is with their IDW. I think if you want IDW, you go with MMC. If you want game inspired, then you go with Planet X. And I think Ratchet's now about to take a little topple, isn't he? I mean, there is something just amazing about how these two pair up. I think figure-wise, I actually prefer the look of Ratchet. There's kind of a more distinct vibe going on about him. Very minimal work had to be done when you got them out of the packaging. Just had to unfold the hands from the arms and just fold the shoulders down slightly, because they were right up by the head. But no real transformation, nothing like the Fans Toys ones. We have to kind of prep them before you can play with them. But let's take a look at Ratchet first. I mean, I absolutely adore how this weapon now looks. Really bulky piece. Let's remove that from his hands. Let's cover the gripes first. First one being the shoulders. Shoulders are hinged and rotate, which is fine. We do get some up and down inside this shoulder joint here as well. It's on a rocking hinge. It does come up and down, but it's incredibly stiff. I really would have liked a butterfly joint in there, and there's no real upper bicep rotation. It rotates, but the wheel is quite hindersome, and we only get a single joint on the elbow. I think a double jointed elbow would really make all of the difference with this figure. We do get rotation on the wrist and a bend up and down. Head is fully articulated, great range of motion upwards, great downwards motion. We do get rotation on the waist, we get hip skirts to the front, allowing for motion this far forwards and this far back, out to the side, again hindered somewhat by the hip panels here, but that being said, the legs are angled downwards, so they're trying to avoid that, but it does still get caught slightly on this lip. There is an upper thigh rotation, and we get a bend on the knee. If you bring that forwards, you can bend this all the way up, but as standard, it's actually rocked and pegged in, holding that leg into the calf section, and then we get up and down on these ankles, we get up and down on the feet, and we get a really nice pivoting left and right, so we can get a really nice wide stance. It's just, I can't help but feel it's slightly let down by those shoulders. Naturally, you'd want the shoulders to be sat slightly further back, but like I said, I think we had the same sort of problem with Apollo. His shoulders were just slightly too far forward, and I think that's kind of carried over onto both Ratchet and Ironhide. But really nice looking figure, really good vibrant colors, and we've got these nice medical symbols on those shoulders as well. And as for Ironhide, he just looks rough and ready, doesn't he? He's got his Energon axe in hand. Again, shoulders don't do as much as I would like. I would have liked some more kind of a butterfly motion in there, just so we can get some kind of more of that diagonal pose. But I suppose comparing it to the rest of the line, it's pretty in keeping to what we've got. So maybe I'm expecting too much, I don't know. I just think Ironhide is a brute, and I would like just a little bit more range on those arms, just so we can get his kind of gun hand upwards, so pistols kind of facing upwards, or we can do something a little bit more dynamic with this axe wielding hand. Rather than having to rotate the bicep, I would have liked to be able to do something with that shoulder. Again though, sculpt on Ironhide, really glorious face sculpt there. They've done a remarkable job at capturing his likeness, and again, really nice colors, nice metallic detailing on the inner leg. I think a lot of the Planet X fans are going to be happy with how this has turned out. It's just a little bit lighter than I would like, and like I said, not a fan of those shoulder setups. I'll give you all an idea of scale. Here he is with Siege Jetfire, who personally I will be displaying him alongside. I don't have any of the Wolf Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron line anymore. I got rid of those last year at TF Nation. Fortunately, needs must, and I honestly didn't think we were going to get an Ironhide and Ratchet, and I'd kind of written them off because things were slow with Planet X, and then suddenly they would get released again. So I decided that I would keep the likes of Jetfire, and I'll have them in their own little kind of War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron inspired diorama. MP10 is just shoved in there as well, just to give you an idea of how they fare. They're good, large Voyager size figures. Right, now let's get these transformed up into their vehicle mode. So we've got these shoulder mounted points. They just need to come up out of the way. Just be careful, these seem somewhat fragile, kind of like the spikes that we got on the back of Megatron as well. These sections actually are spring loaded, so this comes away. You need to get your little fingers in there and bring these pieces up again with this pulled away. There we go, that's up. Easy said than done, because I've got quite small hands, so I imagine you might struggle slightly if your hands are kind of normal sized as opposed to my childlike ones. This is going to sit flat, and just watching so we don't catch anything on the way round. This is going to rotate like so. Possibly the spring is a little bit too tight on this because it doesn't give you a great deal of space to move those subjects back in. The head is going to tilt back. Again, just sitting on the underside like so. Bring the shoulders up. The hands are going to close off. Rotate round, so the palms are facing inwards, and they rotate round and tab off. So again, rotate the hand so it faces inwards. Bring this back down and tab that off. Making sure that these shoulder tabs are pulled all the way out and all the way out. That allows us to rock this joint up like so and up like so, that they sit on top of these arms, then compress. Shoulder bumpers and front tab slide and separate, and then these are just going to push and tab in together. And if you look, this here is all spring loaded, so once the shoulders are lined up, we can just push and these will lock into position, and then we can just close off these front hubs, having that into place. These hip skirts lift up like so, and this is going to rotate all the way around like so. Again, the hip skirts do get in the way slightly though. The clearance isn't exactly amazing. Shin guards lift up and come away from the legs. Disengage the knees from those legs. Lift this panel down. This is going to untab, going to rock so it faces the back of the leg. So lift up, lift down, and then slide this panel out and bring that down. And we've got a zoomed in image in the instructions now saying align. Still can't make out what's actually being said in the instructions, but I'm assuming they're telling us to align these thigh sections so that they're nice and straight. Right, making sure that this section here is completely straight. And this is all down. This one here needs to be rotated 360 degrees and then flipped. And this here is going to compress down into the leg. And then as it's compressed down, this hinge arches up. And as you can see, everything then wants to kind of line up in tandem. Move this joint out of the way. Just need to push everything in. These slide in behind these panels here. And you'll know that once it's fully compressed, these will line up, and there's a hole here. And because we lined up those thighs, everything should tab in nicely, he says. There we go, that's all tabbing in. The feet slide up and over one another. This section can then come down, and everything's just going to push, tab, and lock into position. There we go, there we go. And there we have one extremely solid Ratchet. That is one lump of a figure. I don't know if there's anywhere to put his weapon now. It doesn't appear to have a tab, so we can put it on the side. Not that that's kind of slightly overkill, so we could always disengage this section here and just have this piece tabbed in like this. This is a really kind of solid lump of a figure. It's not the most complexing of transformations, but you do have to make sure everything kind of lines up and tabs in just to get it to work correctly. But yep, that's pretty much spot on. And then we have Ironhide done up as well. Transformation exactly the same. All tidies up pretty nicely. Very nice and clean under the side there. Hardly any bot mode visible. Both do roll. Definitely prefer how Ratchet looks, I think, in his vehicle mode. Definitely looks more like a paramedic. Do not like the fact that we don't have anywhere to store the weapons other than on the sides of the vehicle. Don't get me wrong, I don't agree with having the weapons displayed in vehicle mode anyway, but it's nice to have options, I guess. But yeah, these are good chunky pieces, and once again, I think Planet X have delivered. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think that Planet X should still be pumping these figures out? Is there still the demand for the Fall of Cybertron inspired figures? Personally, I think with the introduction of things like Siege, and we're getting the Omega Supreme, and there's the Unicron, etc., then I think this kind of War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron inspired look is kind of coming back in. But what are your thoughts? Once again, I'd like to thank Robot Kingdom for making these reviews possible. I'm sorry this is a little bit later than usual, but I've had a lot come in quite recently, and I've been trying to soldier my way through the videos as best I can. I've included a link in the description below where these can be purchased. And until next time, from myself, Ironhide and Ratchet, goodbye.